make yourself indispensable. How do you acquire clients? How do you actually deal with the problem of somebody paying you for your service? And how do you acquire them and how do you keep them? Those are questions that everybody should be asking themselves, even people that don't have their own business because your client and it's just your boss. But the point here is this podcast series, the Not Even Wrong podcast, is about what it feels like to run a hedge fund. And I haven't spoken enough about this. So I want to use this episode to elaborate a little bit. Tomorrow is my birthday. So this is maybe kind of one of those episodes where I go deep dive into my own fears and what I think strengths and demons and all that kind of stuff. And I think the biggest demon that I had to struggle with when I was young was this struggle for independence and the fear of not making money. I think that was the big sort of optimization problem I had to solve, which is how independent can I be under the constraint of making money? And I think I solved it. I mean, I think running your own hedge fund is one way to solve it. It's not for everybody, but it's certainly one way. Maybe more general, it's just the ability to do what you think you should be doing as far as profession is concerned, and that's kind of the arch that I'm trying to draw here. Uh, I just heard an interview with Richard Green, who is one of those self-help type guys, writes books about success and those kinds of things. Now, this podcast series is not a self-help podcast by any means, but I still think it's important to just share a few items, and this one I think is really key, which is, look, you gotta make yourself indispensable. You gotta make yourself get to the point where people just cannot afford to ignore you. And in the hedge fund business, that really means high returns, but it's not the only thing. I want to talk about this a little bit more. This is Not Even Wrong podcast. It's July 28th, 2022. This is Krim Delco. Since the last update, we are up 8%. The market is up 2%. We're underperforming by 16%. The outperformance in the last couple of days has been driven by Tesla. Tesla's earnings were incredibly good. And before I go into the topic of this podcast, I want to share some of the takeaways of the Tesla earnings call. I think most importantly, Tesla is delivering very good margins even in this tough environment, and the demand is still very strong. I think those are the two key components. Other things are certainly important: the ramp up of Berlin and Austin, the Cybertruck, and also the FSD ramp is as scheduled. There's no problems. Let's say Karpati leaving hasn't been discussed. Even actually, Elon Musk made a sarcastic remark about that. So I think things are in line. But the fact that they actually deliver those numbers just means that pricing power is there. The market is still strong. And that is what Wall Street cares about most right now in this time of basically a recession that we're probably dealing with already. This is an incredibly strong statement by the company. Now let's talk about this topic that I want to mention today, and it's about Richard Green writes about how to be successful in life. And I'm sorry, this sounds really cheesy, but I think it's worth talking about this because Richard is, although his topic is, fills bookstores and bookstores of self-help books, shelves and all that, actually his approach is pretty decent. What he's saying is simply, listen, you gotta find your vocation. You gotta find your thing. So he's very much Peter Thiel. This is Peter Thiel. This is the first book in a principle stack. He's saying, people are so obsessed with making money, they don't take enough risk when they look for their first job after college and all that kind of stuff. I just want to combine all of that into what I want to talk about here. And this is, as a hedge fund manager, and the purpose of this podcast, of the Not Even Wrong podcast, is to give people a sense for what it feels like to run a hedge fund. So what it feels like to run a hedge fund is pretty much what I've been going through as a young adult, which is this constant fear of not making money and the desire to be independent. And the desire to be independent is not just something where, I want to do my own thing. I don't want to work for anybody. The desire for the independence, I would say, is a genetic thing. It's like being gay or something. It's you're born like that. And the reason you're born like that is just you have to do it. There's no other way for you to contribute to society than to do your own thing. In my case, it was running a hedge fund. In other words, generate wealth by finding a strategy that generates wealth. In my case, it's the purpose of Orange Capital Partners to generate wealth by investing in fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices with large impact. In other words, we're looking for disruptive technologies that actually can generate wealth, so that can fit into that magic formula that Thiel talks a lot about, which is you have to generate a lot of wealth for society, and then you have to keep some of that for yourself. So this is what we're looking for. This is my thing. This is what I've been looking for ever since I started reading newspapers in my teenage years, probably even before. Now, the drive to independence, again, it's not just something where, well, I'm lazy, I don't want to work for other people. It's just there's no other way to do this than my own way, because everybody else is way too conventional. Working for other people is way too conventional, and so on and so forth. Then, of course, the big question comes, and the fear is, okay, I want to be independent, but how do I make money? And I wasn't born rich. I wasn't given lots of money from, let's say, my parents or any of that stuff. So I had to generate, I needed customers. And how do I get customers? Well, I'm back into this same problem, which is, well, how do I please my customers? And I think this is where Richard Green comes in, because he talks about this, and his concept is basically, look, you just have to be able to add value to people. You have to be able to read people's needs. You have to be able to understand what they need and then cater to them. It's not about what you want. It's not about how you see the world. It's about your ability, your empathy in terms of reading other people's needs, reading other people's fears. And I want to give a few examples here, which is, for example, the very concrete example. Okay, you have customers in the hedge fund business. They give you money. They are scared. The reason they give you money is they're scared. If they're comfortable with volatility, if they're comfortable with the financial markets and the uncertainty of business and investing, they wouldn't give you money. So they're already very scared. We have one customer who's constantly talking about his retirement because their business is not doing well. In fact, all of our customers, if I had to summarize their characteristics, those are people that have some wealth, they have a business, but they're not doing very well with their business, or their business is being disrupted, for example, by competition in China, or by, let's say, one of our customers is in a country where the government's very unstable. So although their business is doing very well, you never know in those types of countries how long it's going to last. So they're all kind of living on let's say, on razor's edge when it comes to, okay, how long is my wealth going to last? So why don't I give some money to Orange Capital Partners? Because they are different. And this is another thing. I think the empathy I'm talking about is really important. Try to think, okay, why are these people giving me money? Trust me, nobody's going to give you money because you're good looking or smart. And if, by the way, that was the reason, you shouldn't take the money, because that's a very bad reason to give somebody money. Why are they giving me money? Try to think about that and try to empathize with them. Okay, what are their fears? What are their demons? And how can I cater to them? Or first and foremost, can I even cater to them? For example, we went through a lot of customers, Orange Capital Partners. We've been in business for 14 years now. So we went through a few sets of customers, which means we acquired customers, lost all of them, reacquired customers, lost those. And now we are in a pretty stable phase with the customers we have. And what I learned through this process is that a lot of people come with different needs. Some people just say they wanna give you money so they can yell at you, literally, or express their ego, have an intellectual conversation. Some people give you money just because they want to be able to call you and have an intellectual conversation about the financial markets. If you can cater to that, and some people can, there's a big industry in New York that is actually rich people give money to hedge funds so they can go have dinner with them or have a quarterly meeting or whatever, and really wax poetically discuss about the financial markets and all that stuff. We at Orange Capital Partners are not good at that. We've tried that, doesn't work, because we have a certain very rigid view of the world, and if somebody wants to sort of talk about markets in their way. We're just not very good at that. Let's leave it at that. Other people give you money because they want to make money. That they just want to become rich. Again, that's certainly something we offer, but we offer it at a very long time scale. We can't let's say you're 55 years old, you just lost your job, you got 2 million bucks, and you just want to quickly double that money so you can retire. But we can't do that kind of stuff. We have customers like that. Then we have customers, they need to, you know, for lack of a better word, hide money from the government or even launder money. Of course, we're not even close. We can't even do that, nor do we want to do it. Some people have setups that offer that kind of service even legally in certain countries. We just don't have it. So our purpose, the way we think about money and managing money, is really cater to the fears of our customers. The fear of not having enough money when they get old or when their kids grow up. And I think in both cases, the time frame fits our time frame. This is important because let's say you're 40 years old, 20 years is enough time. That's a very good time frame for us to be promising you a wealth creating prospect, because that's our business. That's our business proposition. I always say, you have a newborn child, give us some money, and then just don't touch it until that child goes to college. This is the kind of wealth we're creating. This is the kind of time frame. We cater to the fears, and that goes back to the empathy point, which is empathy is important because people will not tolerate you unless you can give them what they need. Cater to their demons, understand their fears is very, very important. So that we spend a lot of time talking to people. And by the way, this is not, don't think of us like, for people who are new to this business, a lot of our listeners are maybe don't even have a hedge fund. They just think about it. You're not going to be having lunch at Cipriani's in New York every Saturday afternoon talking about financial markets. That's not what the regular life of a hedge fund manager looks like. It's a lot more like every now and then, particularly when things are tough, when business are tough, when financial markets are tough. Right now, for example, we're in a period like that. Markets are still down. The Fed is raising rates. There's been lots of corrections, lots of risk-off type trades in the market. In those types of environment, people want to talk to you. Have some answers to them. Don't BS them. This is not about BS. This is not about selling snake oil. This is about genuinely trying to help them. For example, look, it is the Fed raising rates. The business that we're investing in, for example, Tesla, is sound. It is fundamentally very sound. Over the long arch, this will do well. You will be fine. If you don't need the money right now, you don't need to worry about it. Those are the kinds of things that soothe people's fears and make them feel more comfortable. And this is very important. So again, this is our specific case. I'm not saying this is a plain vanilla strategy that you can use in every hedge fund case, but just try to find your strength and try to find what your customers' needs are and then cater to them. And this will be very, very successful if you can do that. You will be successful because you will find people. Let's say if your strategy, if you want to mimic what we're doing, which is fine with me, you will have to try to understand, okay, what are people's fears and how can you cater to them? To summarize, running a hedge fund is a lot about like any other business, trying to find what is it people really want. And often people want, when it comes to money, people want more than just making money. Of course, they want to make money, but you need to be able to cater to people's fears, understand what they need, and then give it to them. So try to observe, try to be an observer, try to have empathy. Excuse me, you need to develop empathy. Is a skill. Empathy is a muscle that you need to train like everything else. And the stronger you are, the more successful you will be in this business. Thank you.